Okay, so we should be on. Let me shut that music off. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. We're going to, in this video, recap signals that came through today, as well as why you would have wanted to trade some, not trade the others. I know everybody's kind of getting used to this, and we trade with the 4 hour in mind. So that's something to always keep in mind. And we're looking for the 5 minute, the 1 hour to sync up with the 4 hour. And those are going to be our best trades when everything's synced, all three time frames. When a reversal happens, or a retracement, sorry, when a retracement starts, we get like the 15 minute to switch over. And then if the 1 hour follows, well, then we have a deeper retracement and it can turn into a possible trend reversal. Okay, so that's what we look for as far as what we're looking to do with our trades. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the charts. Let me get mine off of there. All right, so here we have gold. Okay, and we had several signals throughout the day. So again, we're starting our day at 7 o'clock. So here's this yellow line is start of day, and then we have a yellow line at noon. And that's when you guys decided that you only want to trade till noon. Okay, you're not looking at getting into any new trades after, noon. So we're going to take signals from 7 o'clock to noon. And then the rest of the day, then all we're doing is managing our runners, closing partials, stuff like that. So again, we're looking at what direction we are overall. Now, we started at 7, and then we quickly had this signal come up right here. It says 15 minute, 1 hour, and 4 hour buy signal. That means all three time frames, the 15 minute, 1 hour, and 4 hour time frames, are in agreement that it is bullish. Okay. The 1 hour had already been bullish. And then you see the 15-minute switched before the start of day. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you how the signals played out. However, you always have to be aware of highs and lows on the higher time frame. Like the 4-hour time frames, typically we're marking zones, trend lines, support and resistance level, and also news events that come out play a big factor in how things move. So we had FOMC. We also had news that came out at 10, I believe it was. So we had several different news releases that came out today. The Forex market, there's news there that comes out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. And then the stock market, the US stock market, opens at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. So there's a lot of things that happen that can affect the way an instrument moves. Again, we're going over gold here. I'm going to go over all of them, all 6. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. It's hard. It's really hard to prepare for. I mean, we just don't know how the market is going to react to like news releases or how it may react during a market open. So all we can do is set our rules, take our trades, and you kind of take the lumps as it goes. I mean, we're going to take some losses. So that being said, there's a couple things that you guys can do to help. One of them is obviously closing partials when you can. And you'll see these first 2 trades didn't really pan out for that unless you were closing around a 1-to-1, your partials. Okay. So the first signal was after 7, and it was an all-in, 15-minute, 1 hour, 4-hour buy. That's where I bought. And it was beautiful because I bought there, was able to draw a trend line from this low to this low that it had just formed, that candle had just closed. Perfect trend line. And it went up. And it came over here. It went up, and it was like, great, it's already moving. It's already heading toward the first target. Now, this tool here that I've got is not the position tool that you're used to using. Okay. So what I do is I mark this where the entry is, mark where I put my stop, and then whatever measurement that is, it will automatically put a 2-time risk to reward ratio, or 1 time, which is that one. And then a 2-time, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Okay. And you can set that up ahead of time. So that's how I've got it set up. I don't have like 1.5. I know some people are like, well, if I can get in, do a 1.5, which is up in here, and that's fine. So as far as closing partials and managing, that's up to you guys. Some people are closing out their partials at a 1-to-1, letting some runners go, moving their stop quickly to break even. And some are going for I like to go for a 2-time my risk. Okay. So this trade, went up quickly, went kind of sideways, came back down, and ended up hitting the stop on it. I didn't close anything else. That was a losing trade. We had a 15-minute right here, says the 15 minutes retracing that line. So again, we don't want to hold our losing trades. So how could we have managed that better? Well, when we got that reverse signal that the 15-minute was red, we could have closed out part of our position, okay, so that we wouldn't lose the entire amount. So let's say you put 4 contracts on. Well, when it came here and said, hey, we're retracing, you could have closed out 2. And then you'd be mad at yourself when it pulls up here thinking, why did I do that? And then, of course, you'll find out later it went deeper. And then we have a signal that it's going to even pull deeper, the 15-minute and 1 hour, which it did. It pulled deeper. It was short-lived, but it pulled deeper. So how, again, could you have managed that a little differently? Again, if you put on 4, you could close out half when you get that signal saying it's retracing. then you only have, you're taking a smaller loss. So on 2 contracts, we would have the difference from there to there. You'd have a smaller loss than letting it all close out here, but you're still leaving a couple on just in case that's all it gets. And then it goes. Okay. Then we had another buy signal where everything lined back up. So here, the 15-minute and then the 1 hour. So the 15-minute went red. Then the 1 hour went red to follow, which is typical. And then if they're both going to turn, that's what you're always going to get, the 15 to go first, then the 1 hour. And then we had all 3 lined back up green. Okay. So we took this trick. Well, it did hit 1-to-1 ratio. Now, we could go through so many scenarios on this. I don't know who's closing out at a 1-to-1. Some people are closing out partial at 1-to-1. They might be putting on 10 lots, contracts, 4 contracts, 6. I don't know. So they might have put on 4 contracts and closed out half at a 1-to-1, or 10 contracts and closed out 80%. You guys know I like to put on 10 and close out 80. If I put on more than 10, like if I go in with 20 contracts, I throw out 3/4, which is close out 3/4, which is 15. So I'll often put 20 on, close out 15. So if you close partial at a 1-to-1, and that's why I wanted to show you guys this with the lines on, so you can see it just never went. It's not that the signals are bad. The signals tell you when the charts are switching in a direction. If you look at this signal right here that said buy, well, what happened after it signaled? It went up. This signal said, 15-minute retracement, which means it's going down, right? Retracing, red, it's retracing. Well, what did it do? It went down. This one said the 1 hour is retracing. What did it do? It went down, but not a lot. Okay. This one said 15-minute, 1 hour, and 4 hour in a buy. What did it do? It went up. Okay. So it's not that the signals are bad. It's just that it didn't move afterwards. There's no follow through on it. Okay. Not huge moves. And you have to look at time of day too. So what do we have happening? Well, this right here, this big candle right here was 8:30 in the morning. Well, what happens at 8:30 in the morning? Well, we have news for the Forex market. And that's why we had a big green candle there. And then it pulled back, retracement, which we'd expect, to test this area in here. And then it went up. It followed through. Now, my stop was down here. Some people use that Newswick candle. Their stop might have been a little tighter. But basically, it only gave a 1-to-1, a little bit better. No, I don't think that was quite 1.5 now. So around a 1-to-1 on that ratio. So if you would have closed partial there, put on 2, close out 2, or put on 6, close out 4. It just depends. I don't know. Everybody's doing different contract sizes, different strategies on closing partial. So there's a lot that plays into that. It's not one set of rules is right for everybody. You will have a set of rules that are right for you. And that's what you have to develop in trading, is what works for you, what you like to do, what you're comfortable with. Because after all, if you're going to sit here for the rest of your life and trade and make trading your job, okay, your career, your job, and you're going to come in and trade every day or 3 days a week or 4 days a week or 2 days a week, then you need to develop a plan that's comfortable for you. You don't want to come in and be uncomfortable every day you trade on your plan. You don't want your plan to be uncomfortable because the market's going to make you uncomfortable as it moves. Okay. So that's why you have to develop a plan. It's important to do that for yourself. So it went 1-to-1. Again, I can't tell you if people closed out there. I'm sure some people saw that and closed out partial, and some didn't. And if you didn't close out partial, let's say you held it all, put on 4, held it all. Well, then when it pulled back, we had this signal right here that said we're retracing. Okay. 15-minute retrace. Let me turn that crosshairs off. So it says 15-minute retrace. So when you get that again, and it pulled down a little bit, nothing spectacular, but it pulled down a little bit. So you could always, again, close out half your trade then and just say, I want to minimize my risk at this point. Had a great move up. I didn't close anything at the 1-to-1 because that's not my trade plan, right? It depends. Some of you are like, no, I would have closed out. I'm closing out partial at 1-to-1. Well, then you would have closed out part of your trade here. And then if you move your stop to break even, boom, and hit your stop, you're out. If you're not, and you don't close partial, well, then it's a different story. If you close partial here and don't move your stop to break even, but I like move my stop maybe halfway. So that's something else you guys could possibly do is it goes up and hits first target, close out partial, move your stop halfway. You're still giving it some room, but you're moving your stop so that if it comes back and stops you out, you have less of a loss. Okay. Less of a loss to me is kind of like making money. I'm saving money, right? So if I would have left my stop down here and it come all the way back and stop me out, well, then I'm losing all that money on my runners, right? So if you move your stop up halfway, then we know that we're minimizing our risk. We're taking less of a loss on our runners. Okay. We're saving money. If you move to break even better. Well, then, yes, you got stopped out. However, no loss against the gains you locked in. It's a 1-to-1 on there, which isn't the best. So you have to have your trade plan. Are you, we get into trades and we would like for them to run, break and run. Those are the golden trades. In the meantime, we might have to take a few trades that aren't so great, that only go to 1-to-1 in order to keep trading and then hit the one that breaks and runs, because you never know which is going to break. This one, it could have broke and ran. This one could have broke and ran. You don't know. So we get back into the trades. We get into that trade. You get stopped out or you close out partial and then you get stopped out here on the rest. You get back into the trade. You might close out partial. You might pull your stop to break even or whatever. However you manage that, and you get stopped out eventually. And then we get a reverse signal over here. This is the first red line right there is a 15-minute retracement. And then the second one says all four are in line. This right here, if you look at the time, that is 10 a.m. this morning. Well, we had news. If you look at the bottom of the chart, 10 a.m. We had news come out. So is it a mystery that we have a long red candle, or it could have been a long green candle? Would it be a mystery? It shouldn't. You should always know when the news releases are coming out. In the Discord, we've got the bot in there that actually posts the news release for the day. I think it comes out at 8 in the morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. So you should know when the news is coming out. It should not be a surprise. This move right here should not be a surprise. Okay. Now, did we want it to go down? Not really, because, obviously the 4-hour was green in here. And that's why we don't trade these. The 4-hour was green. So right here, all time frames turn red. Now, I got in about this price right here. I think it was 73.3 actually. 1 or 3, I can't remember. I'd have to look, but I got in as it was moving down. Where was I when the news release came out? Most of you guys know where I am when a news release comes out. I'm on a 1-minute chart. I'm not on this 3-minute chart. I'm down on a 1 watching the news. So as it started moving down, pushing down, that's when I jumped in. That's at 10 o'clock. So jumping in on those news candles is riskier. They don't always pan out. If it's a risk you're willing to take, you do that. Some people wait for the news to settle and wait 15 minutes, an hour. And Everybody's a little different. Some people like waiting an hour. Some people only wait 15 minutes. Some people wait half an hour. Some people wait 2 hours. Some people don't even trade when there's a news release. Okay. And again, that's something you have to decide. But trading the signals, I jumped in because 15-minute signal, it was moving off news. So I went ahead and jumped in, and you might not throw on your full contract size, especially trading during the news. And that's fine. Okay. So I marked my entry. My stop was tight because it was news. News, you expect it to like push quickly and you're in and out. I mean, you're like one and done, in and out. So what happened is that you see right here where it, pushed down and hit the first target level. That's a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Okay. And then it quickly popped down here. And what did it do? Well, it hit 2-to-1. Here's what I am doing on 2-to-1. Most of my targeting is 2-to-1. I like the 2-to-1. I'm willing to take this loss. I'm willing to I don't move my stop when it hits the first 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. Okay. Or you might move it up halfway, and that's fine. I won't move it to break even. So when it moves up like this did, okay, almost gets to the first target, you can move your stop up halfway. Okay. Let's minimize our risk. Same here. It pulls up. Now this one hit 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. Move your stop halfway. Okay. You're closing when you get a reverse signal, if that's what you're doing. If not, then you're holding, and then you get this one saying, okay, it's going to push this time. It's going to push and break. And it doesn't. It pushes back up, doesn't even make it back to that first target. Okay. When you're over here, I was out of my position ready for news to move one way or another. Okay. So I had closed out manually this position when it was about in here somewhere because I was waiting on news. Like, I'm just going to wait it out and trade news. Dialed down to a 1-minute time frame, got in on that. So again, it pushes to target 1. If you want to, you can move your stop, which would be here, okay, and move it to halfway, minimizing your risk that you have on the table. When it goes to take profit 2, or that's 1-to-1. Okay, when it goes to the 2-time risk reward or reward to risk ratio. All right. And this will do it automatically for you. You don't have to go in and mark these little lines. That's what I was doing on the position tool. So if you do this, set it up like this, you don't have to do that. It'll set up you'll set it up ahead of time, and every time you use the tool, it will plop these on your chart. Okay. And we know that this first level is a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio. The second level is 2-to-1. So when it came down, hit 2-to-1, what are you going to do? You're going to close partial. I'm closing partial there because we never know if it's going to keep going. Like over here, it went up and hit 1-to-1. Well, it never went further. Okay. So when this came down off news, it came down, hit 2-to-1. How do we know that's not the furthest it's going to go? We don't. We don't know that is not the farthest it's going to move, that wick, which is way down here. We have no idea that's as far as it's going to do. A lot of times on news releases, things actually reverse. They will come down like this and go back up and finish where they started. So we don't know. So what we need to do is we have to manage our trade. Okay. So again, goes to 1-to-1. You can move your stop halfway to minimize your risk. Goes to 2-to-1. You don't want to close out partial, and you can either leave your stop where it is because you've already closed out partial at a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. Okay. You got 2-time what you put up. You put on 10, you close out 8, you got 2 runners. You can choose to leave your stop where it is. If you moved it, it might still be here, or you can choose to move to break even. So some people, when they close out partial, their stop might still be here where it originally was. They might choose to move it halfway. So on the runners, they only have half the risk still. Other traders will have their stop here and move it to break even. Some traders, when it hit 1-to-1 risk, they move their stop. And then so they can either, once it hits the 2-time level, they can either leave it where it is or they can move it to break even. Okay, this is something you guys have to think about. I can't tell you what's right for you because everybody's risk tolerance is different. But basically, that's how you want to manage the trade. And then we actually had another sell signal here where we're already in, right? So let's say I'm just going to use the 10-2, and you guys can adjust it. You might put on 4, close out 2, or close out 3. You might put on 4, close out 3, and have 1 runner on. Okay. You might be putting on 6, closing out 4, leave 2 on. I'm going to use 10-2. So you put on 10, moves down to the second level, profit level, and then you're going to close out 8 and move your stop. We get another sell signal. So this sell signal was a full-on sell, 15-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour. What are you going to do? Well, you would add back in. You would sell. That's another trade. So you would go back in. I would put on another 10. So put on another 10. And then when it hits a profit target level, close out 8, leave 2 runners. Well, I still have 2 runners over here. And then once this gets to profit and I close out partial, I'd have 2 more runners. So you end up with 4 runners. Noon hits, we do nothing. It's just we don't take trades after noon. Okay. Then we have a 15-minute reversal or retracement. So this is something else with the signals. You have to decide. We get notified when the 15-minute turns. We also get notified when the 1 hour turns and the 4 hour. But if we're in short, okay, we're in short, when the 15-minute comes up and says retracement, decide if that's when you want to retrace or close out your whole trade. Because after noon, we're looking at closing out our trade, managing our stop. So after noon, exiting the trade, there's 3 ways. You can get out when the 15-minute says retracement. Just boom, close it all. You can wait for the 1 hour and see if the 1 hour turns along with the 15-minute. And if you waited, so if you did not close there, some people are closing there. 15-minute says it's pulling back, I'm out. You're just out, you're done. Some people are waiting on the 15-minute and 1 hour to line up. So you're waiting. So if the 1 hour turns green, then you're out. Okay. Other than that, you're waiting for end of day. Well, if you closed out here, then you were done. If you were waiting to see if the 1 hour turned green, over here you get another sell signal. The 1 hour didn't turn green. That's actually another opportunity to sell if you wanted to. If you're trading afternoon, most of us are not trading. So what that signal is to me is if I'm holding runners, okay, I got a 15-minute retracement here. If I'm not closing my runners and I'm waiting to see what the 1 hour does, then when I get this signal, it gives me hope that it's going to keep moving in that direction that I'm in, which is short. Okay. So if you look overall, we had a buy signal because the 4 hour was green. Over here, we had the trend direction reversal. We actually had it a little bit or right on the news candle. It was the news. It was the move off the news that turned the direction in the market. Surprised? I'm not. I mean, it's off the news release, and we get a directional change in the market, and you have to be prepared for that. So before that, we would only take buys going long. Over here, we're taking sells. Okay. And then the rest of the day, where are we at? I know we're here's the end of day. We still haven't closed out yet. It's 4:20, so it's not quite end of day. So it hasn't really done anything. It come into profit a little bit more here. And if you look, this level right here, it almost hit the third level. So again, this one's 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio. This one we're closing out. And if you had two runners on, what do you do at the next target? Well, you would close one out. So some people would have closed out there because it's near that target. We don't expect it to hit exactly to the point. Sometimes it does, like this went past. Again, that's off news push. So overall, it did hit 3 levels. And I'm only saying 2 profit levels because right here is 1-to-1. And 1-to-1's okay, but your strategy better be better than 50%. Okay, if you don't have better than 50% win-loss ratio, then a 1-to-1 is not going to do you any good. Okay, that's why you find most traders will go for that 1.5-to-1 or 2-to-1, for their target. So that's how gold panned out overall. Was kind of choppy, was not the best at all to trade. And that's what we've had the last few days. So I don't know. I should have had that open. Here's platinum. And you're going to see the difference. So I've asked you guys, like what, if you wanted to keep doing gold for the rest of the week or next week, or if you wanted to switch it up and go to one of the other instruments. And here's how platinum did. So that's why I wanted to go over this video, kind of show you guys how the 6 different instruments traded today, because I traded all 6 at one time, and how the signals came out and how they were traded, the profit targets you could have got, and so forth. And then I think everybody kind of decided we're gonna switch it up. And I don't know if you guys want to do that over the next couple of days or just wait till next week and just continue with gold for the next couple of days. So overall, start of the market, there's the 7:00 a.m. Eastern, was already green. Okay. So it was already green. So we can either take the trade in that direction, we wait for a pullback to get in, and we would go long. Well, right here, we had the 15-minute 1 hour, which means that it's going to retrace. We're going to have a deep retracement, typically. Okay. So if you have the 15-minute flip, and here's the difference. Back on gold, we have the 15-minute flip, and then we had the 1 hour flip, which means it's going to retrace deeper. However, they did not flip together. So we don't know if that 1 hour flipping is going to be a large move or not. Okay. This difference in this is the 15-minute and 1 hour switch. Everything was green over here. And then the 15-minute and the 1 hour switch at the same time. Okay. So we know it's a deeper retracement. So I went ahead and entered, and what else is there? Well, I already had a trend line drawn because this was green. This was green, right? And it moved up. So 7:00 is when I came to the computer. I drew a trend line here. It bounced off that. I didn't do anything, right? And then it came over and hit toward it again. I didn't do anything. It's typically when you might take a long when it bounces off. Well, it didn't have a green candle there. Instead, it broke through the trend line. Okay. So when it broke through, we had a signal. That's when you sell. So selling at that point, putting your stop above the high. It's a nice swing high. I mean, it swung up, come down. You're going to put your stop there. Okay. This actually had great follow through. Okay. On this trade. So like I said, it's not that we're getting bad signals. We're getting the signals when they're supposed to signal. However, we're not getting follow through. The instruments aren't moving after we get signals. Okay. And we don't know, never know. So you just have to keep trading it, and you just keep trading it, and you keep trading it. You set your rules up and you do the same thing every time. And you might take a couple losses Like on gold this morning, there was a couple losses before the bigger one, that gave profit. Okay. So something else I want you to look at is pullbacks. Are we getting large pullbacks? Sometimes you're going to get pullbacks and sometimes you're not. So I've seen a couple people comment and say, well, it pulled back as soon as I got in. Okay, that's going to happen. There's no way you can trade anything. I don't care what strategy you're under the sun you're using, whatever it is, there is no way you can get in 100% of the time and not get in on a pullback. It pulled back right away when you get in. We don't know when it's going to happen. Okay. So you got in this one, it pulled back a little bit, but not much. And then went on. It went to, there's the 1-to-1 ratio. So there's your 2-to-1, 3-to-1, almost to the, right? Yeah. 2-to-1, 3-to-1, almost to 4-to-1. Not quite. So managing the trade, again, I'm going to give you a couple different scenarios. So one, it goes to 1-to-1. That's up to you if you're closing out partial or not. What I do, it goes to 1-to-1. I want to minimize my risk. I will take my stop from here and pull it halfway. Let's do that. Goes 1-to-1. Just minimize your risk, minimize your stop. You should be happy if you do that. If you do that and get stopped out, I'd be happier taking a smaller loss, right? You're managing your trade. You're managing your risk. So again, it moves to 1-to-1. You can move your stop halfway and be happy with that. Again, if you get stopped out, it's okay. You still have a losing trade, but you have less of a losing trade. You only lost half as much as what you were originally risking, right? That's still trading. That's trading successfully in my eyes. So again, if you move your stop and you get stopped out and you're only losing half of what you put up in the beginning, that's successful trading. That's successful trade management. So it goes to 1-to-1. You have to decide if you're going to move your stop halfway or not. But when it hits 2-to-1, I recommend closing partial. And you look at it going, well, I'd wait till 3-to-1, then close partial. But remember, we don't know it's going to go there. Okay? We have no idea. You have no clue that it's going to go to this level. So at 2-to-1, I recommend closing partial. Because again, it's easy to look at the chart now and say, well, I'd wait to 3-to-1, then I want to close partial. Because as we saw on gold, they didn't even get to 1-to-1. So you never know if it's going to go the distance or push further. Manage your trades accordingly. So again, it hits the second level. That's 2 times your risk. That's a 1-to-2 ratio. Okay? You're locking in 2 times what you put up for risk. You could fail 50% of the time and do that and be successful, right? We don't play off that low of a win rate, but you could. You're locking in 2 times the risk. So hits the second level. That's 2 times your risk. Close out partial. Move your stop to break even at that point. Now, whether you moved it when it hit here to halfway or left it, that's up to you. But when it hits the second level, I recommend closing partial and moving your stop to break even. At that point, you are not in a risky trade. You're no longer in a risky trade. You can't lose anything against the gains you've locked in. When it goes to the third level, that's your next profit target, right? These are your profit targets. It moves to, and we're basing them off of your risk. Okay? So your original risk, that's your 2-to-1. Close out partial. Now it hits 3-to-1. 3 times your risk level for your reward. If you have 2 runners on, you can close one out. You can close out half your runner. You just close out part of your runners. It depends on how many you have on. If you have 1 runner, you can't do anything but do what? Move your stop. So when it hits this next level, I recommend, if you have multiple runners on, closing partial again, and moving your stop to this level. You're keeping your stop 2 levels back, okay? Some of you that don't have a lot of risk tolerance, when it hits these levels, like it comes down here, hits 1-to-1, you're moving your stop to break even. Comes down here and hits 2-to-1, you're closing partial, you're moving your stop right here. You're trailing your stop by 1 level. That's up to you. Individually, you have to make that decision. And then when it hits this level, well, that person's moving their stop here. Okay? When it comes here, they're not doing anything. And then eventually they get stopped out on their runners, right? So I'm just giving you ideas of how to manage those trades. Over here then, and notice what I have up here. All day today was a bullish day, okay? So you only really want to take buys. If you want to trade with the 4-hour time frame, 4-hour time frame on platinum was green all day. So the buys are your safer bet. That's just how it is. The buys are your safer bet. Okay. Can you trade the retracements? Sure. We just did here, right? But we waited till the 15-minute and 1 hour turned. We're not taking the trade when the 15-minute by itself turns. We had good follow through because both the 15 and the 1 hour turn. It comes up, signal right there that the 15-minute and 1 hour turn green. Well, what did we just do over here? Over here, 15-minute, 1 hour, we went short. We traded the retracement. Put on less contracts because trading against the 4 hour is riskier, right? But a successful trade. Over here, the 15-minute, 1 hour turn back into a buy. And the 4 hour was still a buy. So I'll have to look. I don't know why that one did not give us this signal right here, where all three were lined up, because the 4 hour stayed green all day. So that should have looked like this. So that was the buy. So that's where I bought platinum. And it was up here. It was at the start of this candle. Yeah, I think it was at the start of that candle. It's at that price is where I bought. Okay. Stop down below the low. And then the tool goes ahead and puts your 1-to-1, your 2-to-1, and so on. So again, this one sat sideways for a while. I was in the negative here right away. Remember, sometimes you go negative right away. Sometimes you go negative right away, and that's okay. It's going to happen. Then it goes up in profit a little, back down in the negative, back down deeper in the negative, and then pulls up. But it never went even halfway. If those that know about support and resistance, inside tops and bottoms, what did it basically do? Well, it came down to test this level, right? This level support resistance, these highs right here, these wicks. It pulled up, came down, and test that level. Came down and test that price level, okay? But we're still holding. We're just holding our trade. And then finally it took off. Hits the 1-to-1. Again, some people are going to close. I'll go over this one more time on this. After that, I won't really show the management side. But I'm going to go with the 2-to-1 risk to reward. And that actually hit up here. So it hits 2-to-1. You close out partial. I like doing 3/4. If it's 10 lots, I'll do 80%. But when I get into bigger, when I do like 20 contracts, it's 3/4. If I do 30 contracts, it's 3/4. I close out 3/4 of the trade. That's just my comfort level. That's what I like doing. That's what I figured out. And that's what I have been trading for years like that. So other than if it's, like I said, if it's 10, then it's closed out 8. So it goes up, hits target 1, which is 1-to-1 risk reward, goes back up, hits target 2. Target 2. Now, again, when it hits 1-to-1, you can move your stop halfway. It's given a push. It's moved. When you get a push, you manage your stop. Okay. When you get another push, you manage your stop. When you get another push, you manage your stop. Same over here. We got a push, manage your stop. So every time it pushed and hit a 1-to-1 here, hits a level. So it pushes and hits a level. What are we going to do? We're going to move our stop. Pushes, hits a level. What are we going to do? We're going to move our stop. Pushes, hits another target. What are we going to do? We're going to move our stop again. So every time it hits a target, adjust your stop. Also consider closing part of your trade at each level. Okay. Those are the only two things you have to do to manage your trades and be successful. So over here, sat sideways for a while in the negative several times, a couple times, even here, pull back, back up to break even, little profit, pull back, negative, sideways for a while. Then it finally broke. Profit target 1. What are we going to do? If you're not closing partial at a 1-to-1, you don't do anything with closing, but you had a push. Let's manage our stop. Let's move our stop to break even. Okay. Then it quickly went up to target 2. What are we going to do? Two things at this point. I'm closing partial. So if I put on 10, I'm closing 8 at a 2-to-1, 2 times reward. 2 times our risk. That's our reward. We're getting 2 times what we put up for risk here. I'll take that every day, every trade. So you put on 10, you close out 8. At that point, again, when it hit this level, 1-to-1, we don't close any unless that's your rule and you're saying, yes, I want to close some out on 1-to-1. But you move your stop halfway. We get another push. It hits another target. What do? We manage our stop. We close partial. If we have partial left to close, you may only have one on at this point. So if you had, let's say you placed 10 and you closed out 9 when it hit here, well, then you only have one left. There's nothing to do with that except move your stop. Eventually you'll get stopped out, right? So again, pushed up here, we move stop halfway. Pushed up here, we close out partial, move your stop to just better than break even. I mean, we don't even want a small loss. I hate seeing those little $4 loss or something, $2 loss, $10 loss. It's because it's right there where you don't move it. Just move it a little better than break even. Okay. So if it comes back and stops you out, then you're at no loss against your gains. This one, it pulls up and hits a uptrend line. That's why we keep our trend lines and zones and support and resistance levels on the chart. Is it any surprise it turned there? Well, not really. I mean, that is a 4-hour uptrend line. So if you go the 4-hour chart, what's it doing? It's testing the underside of that 4-hour chart again. So that's why we go out to the 4-hour time frame every day and update our charts. They'll be back in tonight. That's why I update those for you guys every night. Because by having that line on the chart and it hitting it and testing it again twice, it's no surprise that it came down. Now, it could have broke and kept going, but it didn't. But you're not surprised. If I didn't have that green line on the chart, if that green line was not there, then I would have been surprised. So this move, okay, look, it came up, tested level, came back, came up, turned, went back to test this level of support resistance, the previous high it just broke, came back up. You're like, great, another run up. Well, why did it stop? Well, it's not a surprise if you have your trend lines and support resistance and zones on there, right? So then over here, we get a 15-minute retracement. I went ahead and traded it. Why? I hope you guys know why I traded that. Look down at the bottom of the chart. It is 10 o'clock, 10:03. So what are these two candles? It's the news. It was 10 o'clock today. Okay. We had news. So it pushed down. And then as it was pushing here, because I got in right there. So as it was pushing here, I sold. Okay. What other time frame am I in though? Sorry. I'm on the 1-minute time frame. when those big news releases come out. That's just what I dropped to. I dropped to a 1 minute. So I'm not, it looks like I'm getting in the middle of a candle here. If you go to 1 minute, it looks differently. Okay. So even though it was just the 15 minute that flipped, the 4 hour still green, bullish all day, and the 1 hour would still be green as well. So this is a total news trade. We're shifting gears. We got a signal, but the signal came because of the news move. I got in right there, or sorry, right here. And I did sit negative for a while. Look at the next candle, the green candle. It went, so I got in there. It went down. I was in the positive for a while. Not enough. I mean, that's 1-to-1 risk to reward. And I kept my stop tight. Why? Because it's news. I did not. There's no way I was going to put it way up here for a news release, because if it comes past my stop here, then I should be trading it long. It's probably going to go up and hit the trend line again. Okay. So that's why for the tight stop, again, it's news. Hit 1-to-1 and then quickly went negative. So I was in the negative for a while and almost stopped out on that trade. It barely kept me in. And then all of a sudden it moves almost to 2-to-1, almost to my profit level. Didn't do anything. Went back here to where I was in the negative a few dollars again. And then finally pushed to TP2 or 2 times. So that's when you're closing partial. Okay. And notice, almost got stopped out. It moves to 1-to-1. What do we do at 1-to-1? We don't close anything out unless that's your rule, but you can move your stop halfway. When it came back here, it never went to that level to stop you out. Okay, if it did, you're okay. You're losing less. Losing less is kind of like winning. I mean, you still have a losing trade, but you're losing less, right? So it comes back, and then when it hits 2-to-1, that's when we're closing partial and moving stop to break even. That protects you from any loss against your gains, right? Never went to 3-to-1 on this move down. Now what happened was it pulled back, okay, and then moved back down, and then we get the 15-minute and 1 hour. So that was another chance to get in to the trade. But if you're already in, you might just be riding this trade, okay? You could add to your trade. Okay, I put the stop above the high because when you add to your trade, it's going to move your whole order down, move your stop down with it, because we're trying to minimize our risk, right? This one, if you look, end of day, no more trades. It signaled again short here. All 3. Yeah. No, that's just a 15 to 1 hour, sorry. Pulling down 15-minute 1. That's right, because the 4 hour was green. I forgot which one we were on. 4 hour was green all day. So all 3 of these trades worked out. First one was short against the major trend. You have to decide if you're going to trade retracements or not. If you're trading retracements, 4 hours was green, start a day. 15-minute 1 hour goes red. If you're trading that retracement, go in with less contracts. Go lighter. Okay? Just go lighter on that trade. And then what are we looking for overall? Some of you guys are only trading with the 4 hour time frame. Okay? So if you're only trading with the 4 hour time frame, this was your trade right here. That was your trade on platinum. Again, because it was green all morning. So if you're trading retracements, you took that 15-minute 1 hour turn against the 4 hour. That was a retracement trade. You have to just realize the 4 hour still green. That is a retracement trade. Okay. So trade accordingly. Trade with less contracts. Know that it's riskier. Know that it might not even went this far, right? It may have just came down to 1-to-1 and turn. Okay. So if you're trading retracements, it's fine. Trade retracements. I do. I trade when the 15-minute 1 hour turn. I don't trade when a 15-minute. I've done it before. Sometimes I've taken some really risky losses. If you just take it only when the 15-minute turns. So it's best to take it when the 15 and 1 hour turn. It's kind of like a double confirmation that, hey, we're on the 3-minute, but we're taking a trade when the 15-minute and the 1 hour go red. Yes, I'm trading against the bullish day, the 4 hour trend. It's green, but I'm going to go ahead and take that chance. If you are, trade with less contracts. That should make you feel a little more comfortable. I wouldn't stack on my whole amount. I wouldn't go, 30 contracts on that. It's a riskier trade because it is against the 4 hours. So just trade it according to that, right? That's okay to trade if you're trading retracements. If you're not comfortable trading the retracements, even though the contract sizes are smaller, then what you're looking for those that don't want to take that risk and don't want to trade the retracements, then you're waiting for all 4 things to line up. And this is your, this was your signal here, because the 15-minute 1 hour went back to a buy. The 4 hour was already in a buy before we even started at 7 a.m. So you would have taken one of those 2 signals. It had a double signal here. I don't know why. But that's your trade. If you're trading with the 4 hour, that's it. And you're done for the day. Now how did you manage that trade? For those taking the 15, 1, and 4 that are all green and you're in long, how are you managing the trade? Again, goes up 1 to 1, move your stop halfway. Goes up 2 to 1, close partial, move your stop to a little better and break even. Goes up above this, I can't tell you what you would have done because it never hit the next level. If it hit the next level, you would move your stop up again. Okay. Some people are trailing 2 levels back. So when it pulls up here, they might have their stop here or might move it halfway. That's up to you guys. I mean, you can trail halfway moves. You can even mark this tool and mark, your 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5 if you want. Just hit about 2.5. So if you're doing that, your stop would be here. If you're doing two levels back, it would be 2 half swings back. And you'd get stopped out here on your runner. That's still good profit on your runner, right? Over here, again, news, entry, short, hits 1 to 1, you move your stop halfway. Hits 2 to 1, you close partial, move your stop to break even. Goes a little, comes back. What does it do? Well, it pulls back, but it doesn't stop you out because your stop's here, break even. Fast forward to the rest of the day, because at noon we're not trading anymore, right? So fast forward the rest of the day, you'd still be in that trade. You entered here short if you're trading the retracements, and you'd be up right now, okay? I'm up a little bit here because I took this one. This was an extra trade for me. And actually, this one went down to 1 to 1. I moved my stop halfway. It went down and hit 2 to 1. I closed partial and moved my stop to break even. And then when it come up here, what did I do? Oh, no, sorry, guys. I moved my stop tight. So when it hit here, see this wick right here and move? It moved down toward that 3rd level. When it moved down toward that 3rd level, I moved my stop aggressively here. I didn't even wait for a candle close. I'm like, okay, it's pushing to the 3rd level. I moved my stop. So I actually got stopped out right there on my runner that was still on. And then over here, we get 15-minute 1 hour again, retracement. That's, you see my price or where I got in. That was right there. I got in on that signal. So it signaled, I jumped in short. Where was my stop? My stop was above the previous swing, where it's supposed to be, where it still is. And then I sat sideways and negative for a while, went negative, positive, negative, deeper, positive, negative, deeper, right? And finally, further positive. I had to sit back through 1, 2, 3 pushes against me. It's just part of the game, right? When I got in right here, it went positive a little bit, but then it went negative. I had to sit through the pullbacks. Went positive again, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, back positive, okay? Back negative, back positive. I mean, that's what I've sat through. But my rule is that I'm going to take entries before noon. I mean, that's what we set up. We're going to take new entries up until noon. And I was trading retracements against the 4 hour. 4 hours green. But when the 15-minute goes and the 15-minute 1 hour, again, this was off the news trade. I know it's just the 15-minute, but that was because of the news push. So I figured, well, if the news is pushing, I'm going to jump in and take that risk. That's always a riskier trade news. But this one just came later. I mean, look what it did. It pulled down, retraced, pulled down, retraced, pulled down. I jumped in and it hit that low and then went sideways, went flat. Okay. Only till it was here did it make a further push. That was after noon. I got in that thing around 11 o'clock. So I got in at 11 and here's noon. Noon, it finally went positive, pretty decent. Okay. That's when you get a little excited. You're like, okay, it's finally ready to move. I sat for an hour sideways and in the negative, and it kept dipping further and further each time. So when you see it make an extension short, it makes you happy because you're like, okay, at least we're not making a deeper pullback, because each one of these highs was deeper and deeper, and the next one might have stopped you out. Well, when you see it push past, what did it do? This red candle, it basically broke those lows, support level, and then pulled back again and went negative. So yeah, that one, I didn't like it, but what time did I take it? I took it at 11. Remember, the busiest time of the market is the first 3 hours. Now we're trading 5. We're starting at 7 a.m. Eastern. Okay. So if you start 7 a.m. Eastern and run to noon, it's 5 hours. But what happens around noon? It's lunch here in the U.S. What is it overseas? The London boys are closing up shop, going home for the day. So the market's going to go sideways. Look at what we had after. Nothing but sideways movement. Are we going to try and trade that? No, we're not. We said we weren't going to do that. So right now it's, it's almost 5. So I'm just going to close that. So this is a runner. And I'm going to close it since we're close. So not much on the runner. I'm up 60 on the runner. And that's right there where I just closed it. Well, I might have been up 65 here, 70. I mean, it went a little further. But that's nothing. The whole trade didn't go anywhere. Right? So overall, again, on this one, it was a bullish day. 4 hours stayed green. And that's how I traded that one. I traded all 6 of these guys. That's why I want to go over them today. Why it's still fresh in my memory. Start a day on Bitcoin. As you can tell by the Bitcoin chart, this was a really good one. So start of the day was here. It was already green. 4 hour was green. So what is our safest play? What is going to be the best direction for us to trade in? If we're trying to trade with the 4 hour trend and the 4 hour is green, bullish, our best bet is to go long. That's our best bet. So my plan is, if I come in to start a day, and you guys know in the Discord, I post where we're at. When we first start at 7, I post like Bitcoin, everything's green, or, 15 minutes red and the 1 hour and 4 hour are green. That gets posted every morning now. And basically I'm doing Bitcoin, platinum, and gold and those. If you guys start trading ES, then we'll post that as well. So start a day, everything's green, 4 hours green. Okay. We had a little retracement. The 15-minute was in the red. I just didn't post. It's out there in Discord. You guys would have to look. I can't remember if it's 15, 1 hour, or both. So over here, we had our first signal to go long. It's the 15-minute, the 1 hour, and the 4 hour all syncing up to green. Well, what are we looking to do? The 4 hour was already green. We were only looking to buy. That's our safest bet. Safest trade is trading in the direction of the trend. And we try and trade in the direction of the 4 hour trend. Why? Because that's where the market makers are. They're not down on a 3-minute chart. They don't build their bots around 3 minutes. It's all their stuff's built around price action. It's built around prices. So if you look at the 4 hour chart and we go in and look at highs and lows, those turns, a swing high, swing low, the turning point, those price points is where the market makers are playing. Okay. That's where that's what they're making their decisions around. So if they're doing that, why shouldn't I? And you'll notice there's a yellow zone here, right? And if you notice, there's a green zone here. Well, if you look at the move before I go over the trade, it broke through. What did it do? Once it broke through the zone, it came back to test the zone. Made a little higher high, test the zone before moving on. That's a 4 hour zone. It's off a 4 hour turning point. The green one is off a 4 hour turning point. That's where you get decent swing one way and it turns. And that's marked the wick. That's why it's wide. It's marking the high and the starting point and the high, or the starting point and the low of a wick. Well, look what it did on the green. It went and just touched the top and came back down, made a higher low, went through it, kind of hesitated a little bit here, went through it, and where was it sitting after? Came back and just kind of sat in the zone. That's why we leave those on our chart. Okay. That gives us extra information that we need to see. Seeing it come up here through a zone and hit the top to test it, retest it, and then move up, that gives me more confidence to hold my trade, right? So that's how that plays out. Entry was here, signal, all three. You're going full boat. You're going full on with whatever your contract is. So again, for me, the minimum I'll do is 10. That's minimum on these, unless I'm getting in something really risky. So I like to go in with 10 and close 8. Or if I go in with 20, I'll close 3/4, which is 15 at a profit level. So what we said was it moves to the first level. The first level you can kind of see. It's right there. It's about in the middle of the zone. You can't hardly see it with the yellow zone there. But that's the first level. Hits first level. What are you going to do? Move your stop, which was here, to halfway. Okay, you're minimizing your risk. That's great. That's your first thing you're going to do. Hits the first level, just move your stop to a little bit, halfway. When it hits the second level, you're going to close partial, and you can move your stop to break even. What else are you going to do at that point? So it hits the 2 times your risk. You're going to close partial. If you're putting on 10, you'll close 8. And you're also going to move your stop to break even. You know what else you're going to do? I just got stopped down on my runner. My stop was up. Where's our current price? Oh, we're way up here. I was hoping I'd get to the end of this chart to show you it was still on, but again, hits 2-time level, close partial, move your stop, break even. You know what else you're going to do? You're going to relax. Write that down on your rule sheet. Hits 2-time level, close partial, move your stop to a little better and break even, so you have absolutely no loss against the gain, and then relax. Is there a reason not to relax? I don't think there is. Some people panic when they're in profit. They will absolutely panic when they're in profit. And that's a habit you got to break. You have to break panicking. And part of it is, here's what part of it is. We don't know if it's going to go all the way up here. Okay. When it hits the second level and we close partial and then it pulls back right here, what you're probably saying to yourself when it pulls back is, I should have closed it all, because it pulls back. That red candle right there would have got you, right? Because you hit here, you saw your profit, you closed out partial because that's your rules. You moved your stop to better than break even. That's your rules. Your third rule is to relax, and you forgot your third rule. When it starts pulling down here, right at the bottom of that candle, you are freaking out because you're saying to yourself, I could have closed it here. That was an extra, whatever, 20 bucks, 30 bucks, 40 bucks, depends on your contract size, right? Could have been an extra couple $100, just that little move. Depends on what you're trading, how much. But you're sitting through that and you're going, I knew it. Again, this is the kind of stuff that goes through your head, right? I knew it. I knew I should have just closed it all there. Stinking Bitcoin, it's pulling back. It's going to pull all the way back here and stop me out. I'm going to lose it all. I'll lose everything I got on my runners. Well, it doesn't. Because if you sit through that and you're done freaking out and it pops up, when it pulls up here past that level, past the previous high, then you go, man, I'm glad I left those on. Glad I didn't close out here. Look, I got more profit. And then it goes back against you. And what are you saying again? As it pulls down here, you're watching your profit go lower, lower, and lower, and lower. You're literally watching your profit from your entry point to here, whatever profit that was, you're watching it go lower and lower and lower and lower and lower because you're staring at the screen. You're not relaxed. You're not just letting it go. Okay. And people freak out. And then when it starts moving up, I don't know if you guys have done this or not. I'm sure I know some people have. I've done it in the past when I first started. But then it starts to go back up. And as it's climbing right here, you're sitting there going, this candle right here that's climbing, you're sitting there going, okay, because over here you're going, you didn't close because you thought it was pushing up. It pulls back and you go, man, I wish I would have closed it all out here. Gave me a second chance. I might just close it all. Then it goes up here and you're going, okay, it's given me a third and final chance to close my partial. I need to just close it because this is the best point for me to close. I don't think it's going to break that high, because it didn't here. I just need to be done. I just want to close it. And then you close it, you know what happens. It just keeps going up, right? And up and up and up without you. So again, stick to your rules. Hits the second level, you're closing partial, moving stop to break even. Letting it go. Relax. You've done your job. Your job every day when you sit at the computer is to take trades, make money. If you're not making money, you shouldn't be sitting here all day, right? I mean, that's what you're training yourself for. You're training yourself for a career, okay, where you can come in and make money every day. So you have to set up your rules for yourself and stick to them. It's like anything else. Any other job you have, sporting event, sports you do or whatever, you have rules and you stick to them, right? So you closed out partial, move your stop, break even. Only when it hits the next level. So we hit this level. Only when it hits the next level, we're going to move our stop. We're going to trail our stop at that point, right? Now, some people are here. When it hits that, close partial, move your stop to break even. There's other people that will move their stop to this level in here that you can't see. That's the 1-to-1. So every trader is going to be different. Okay. So again, when it hits this one, we're closing partial, moving your stop to at least break even. Some traders are moving it tighter here and they move it to 1-to-1. So on 8 of the 10 lots, they got 2 to 1. On the runners, if it comes back, if this would have came back and stopped them out on the runners, the runners would have been 1 to 1. I mean, how great's that? If that's the way every trade turns out for you. 2 to 1 on partial, 1 to 1 if the runners get stopped out. If that's your plan, then you're pulling your stop here. So I can't make that decision for you. You have to make that yourself. We actually had a 15-minute here retracement. It didn't really pull back much after that. Part of the move is what signals. It's looking at a few other things, but it takes into account the most recent way it's moving, okay? So it made a high, it came down, made a low, come back and made a lower high, right? And then it pushed down off that. Green, and then we actually had it pull down here below this low. So we know it's pulling back. How far, we have no idea. So that's a lot of what it looks at. Gives you a candle or a signal that says it's selling. Well, are we trading a 15-minute signal? No. Again, the 4 hours green. We're only looking to go green for a safe trade. If we get a signal that says the 15-minute 1 hour's turning, we can trade that retracement. But for now, we just have the 15-minute only retracing. So we just say to ourselves, okay, I'm not trading that. And if you're only trading with the 4 hour, you're only going long today. If you're trading retracements, if the 15-minute and 1 hour turned, then you would have traded short. And of course, it would have moved down. It wouldn't have went down. So shortly after the retracement signal, here at 10:30, you get the 15, 1 hour, 4 hour says go long right there. Now, you guys know I've tried to calculate and figure in trend lines with this as much as I could. So we have a signal here to go long. Look to the left. Was there a recent move down? Yes, there was. There was a recent move down. Can you see yourself drawing a trend line down that move? Yes, I do. I hit the wrong tool, didn't I? All right. So look to the left when you see a signal. And was there a move down? Yeah. So we had a signal go long. All 3 time frames in sync. We're going to go with our full 10 contracts. Look to the left when you get a signal. Did we just break a trend line or retracement line? Yeah, we did. Right here. We broke it. Okay, I'm golden. You can get in there. Got in with 10. Stop down here at the recent swing low. Okay, and then the tool automatically plops these lines on there. So there's your 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio. There's your 2 time. Okay, that's where you're making 2 times your risk. So it went up and hit the 1-to-1 level. What do we do? I should be writing these down. You guys will, hopefully somebody's writing these down and can post them tomorrow or today. So it pulls up and hits 1-to-1 risk to reward. The only thing you have to do is consider moving your stop. You don't have to. You can leave your stop where it is. If you want to move it, don't be quick to move it to break even. Okay? But move it at least halfway. You've done your job. Now you relax. You wait. That's it. It goes and hits 1-to-1. The only thing you have to do is move your stop halfway or not. That's a decision you should make in the morning before you start trading. Your next job is to wait until it hits what? 2-to-1. It comes back, you watch it, finally goes 2-to-1. What's your job when it hits 2-to-1? You only have a few jobs you have to do all day long. And you don't have to do them every 2 seconds of the day, right? It's once in a while. So if you count the candles in here, it quickly moved up. You got in at 1, 2, 3, 2, really, right here. So you got in here and 6 minutes later, it hit that level. You're moving your stop halfway. Okay. I'm not going to count the candles in here. I can see there's several candles in here. So we can do time. So that is 10:36 to 11:30. There's almost an hour that you're doing nothing. You're just sitting on your hands waiting. There is absolutely nothing for you to do. You've moved your stop halfway. Your rules say when it hits the second level, we're going to close partial. And at that point, move your stop to either break even or the level right under it. That's a personal preference. You have to decide. So mine is break even. I don't like moving it super tight like that unless it's around news, right? So almost an hour, you're sitting here doing absolutely nothing. Goes up and hits the 2 times level. Getting 2 times your risk. You're closing out partial. We put 10 on, you're going to close out 8. You're going to move your stop to a little better and break even. You're done. Now you're absolutely done until it hits the next target level, the third one. And what are we going to do when it hits that level? You can consider closing partial if you have enough to, but you're absolutely going to move your stop. Absolutely. So when it comes up here and hits that level, what do? Well, you're going to move your stop. You have it at break even. You're going to move your stop at least there. Some people that like it tighter will move it there. You'll get stopped out. If you like it tight like that, when it moves up here and hits this level and you close partial, if you're moving your stop to the level back, you would have got stopped out here. Okay. And you would have missed more move. Okay. So that's something you have to think about and consider. Again, you get in a trade, it goes up here, you move your stop halfway. It goes up and hits right here, second level. You're going to close partial. It's under there. You're going to close partial, right? And then, what am I saying? You're going to close part of the trade out, move your stop to break even. For those that move their stop to the net, just that level right under them, you're stopped out here. That's something right there you have to think about. That is part of your trade management decision. I mean, I can guide you, but everybody has to make that decision for themselves. Sometimes you'll get stopped out and then it keeps moving short. And on those times you're thinking, well, I'm glad. Okay. So it hits your 2-time take profit, you're closing partial, you're moving stop here, it stops you out and keeps moving short. Yeah, I'm glad. Glad I got out early. I made more money on my runner. But then on this trade right here today, then you're slapping yourself. I knew I shouldn't be using that tight stop loss, 1 level back. I've heard someone, have you ever heard anyone mention they like to keep their stop 2 levels back? I wonder who's ever said that before. I know you guys have heard that before. So I like to stay 2 levels back. Like to give it the room to breathe in case we get stuff like this, where it just keeps going. Because I would hate to get stopped out here. Look at this. It pulls back, and if you had your stop, the level right under it, where you closed out, you get stopped out. You get stopped out at noon, and your rule is you're not going to trade afternoon. No new trades, no new entries, right? And you miss all this. You're going to kick yourself. But it's up to you. You have to make that decision. If you just closed partial, move your stop to break even, leave it there, well, then you're still in on this. What other levels did it hit? It finally here hit this take profit level. If you have nothing left on, you're only moving your stop. If you have, say, 4 lots on, you can close 2. If you have 2 lots on, you can close 1. You're locking in money. Remember, when the market gives you money, you take it. See profit, take profit. That's what we're here for. That's what we need to do. That's our job for the day. That's our career. That's our goal, to make money every day. So it hits the 3rd level. You can close out partial if you have more, but you're going to move your stop. So at that point, we're moving our stop here. And then up here, was it hit? other than our 4-hour support resistance level. So Bitcoin pulled up, continued to pull up, and hit this level. What are you going to do? Well, if I have nothing left but one runner, which that's what I ended up with today, was just one runner on, you can only move your stop. So you're going to move your stop up another level. Okay. Toward the end of the day, you can get up even more levels. But that's how Bitcoin played out today. Now look at the two. The two trades together. Remember you had a trade here. Or did you forget about that one? So that was the first trade. Well, how many levels did it climb? If you look at the whole move, right here, this one went up. There's your 1-to-1 reward level. 1-to-1, 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 4-to-1. That's why this is marked 4-to-1 right here. 4-to-1, 5-to-1, almost 6-to-1. It didn't quite get there. So this first trade on Bitcoin was almost a 6-to-1, almost hit 6-to-1 right here. Now you would have had to close out there to realize all that profit. We would have had our stops moved either to here to here. Mine was moved up in here somewhere because you guys saw when I started on the Bitcoin chart here after gold, I got closed out. I got closed out on this move back. I can't remember where my stop was. I think it was actually it was right in here somewhere. I kept it below these highs and it just wasn't enough to keep me in. And I'm fine with that because again, end of day, right? So if you look at the two together, don't forget we leave runners on. We still had runners from here. We took the first trade. It moved up 1-to-1. We moved our stop halfway up from where it was, halfway up to break even. It hits 2-to-1. You close partial, move your stop to better than break even, just better than break even. Don't really care how much, but just enough that you're not going to lose anything, right? And then it comes down and we got another signal go long. Well, you would have runners on this, right? Your first trade, we put 10 on. We closed out 8, left 2 on, had our stop break even. Comes back and signals here. We put what on? We put 10 more on. When it hits the second level, we close off 8. We still have 4 runners on. And you're going to move your stops your stop moves together. So, but we still have 4 runners on at this point. And then the 4 runners get all this. So this ended up being a 5 to 6. If you got stopped at where I did here at this level, that's five times, right? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 times the risk level. Okay. And then this one, it went up 1, 2, and I can't see the other. Let me move this. Oh God, I got that locked. I think that thing's locked. No, it's not. Right there's, yeah. So that's what I say. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times risk level because it pulled back and pulled me out. There's 5, and that's 1, 2, 3. So on your runners, each trade. So we put on 10. We closed out 8 at 2 times our risk reward level. Okay. So we got 2 times the risk. On this trade, we put on 10, closed out 8, 2 times the risk. So guys, that's 1 to 2 risk reward on 16 contracts. Okay. Then our runners, 2 runners, we got 5 times the risk. And then 2 runners on this, we got 3 times the risk. Okay. This was a powerful day today in Bitcoin. Okay. So that's how that played out on Bitcoin. Let's see. I also did NQ. We're done 3. I did NQ, ES, and oil. So I'll try and do those real quick too. So it's not super, super long. We're running an hour and 30 already. You guys know I could talk for hours. So I don't care how long it is. So here's NQ. NQ was a bearish day all day. So this was the start of the market right here, 7 a.m. or start when we're trading. And then I had a 15-minute and 1 hour. There's a line there, but that is 15-minute. So we had a 15-minute, 1 hour, say long. Okay, right there. So I went long on that because, again, I'm trading retracements. So I was trading retracements today, not when just the 15-minute says long. So the 15-minute right here. So 7 o'clock's there. That's when we're looking trade. The 15-minute had already gone green against the 1 hour and 4 hour. Because remember, the bearish all day. So the 1 hour and 4 hour and 15-minute were all red. Then the 15-minute turns green. So we know it's a retracement. A retracement is starting. And we never know how far back how deep it's going to go. Over here, then the 1 hour followed suit. So now we got 15-minute and 1 hour going bullish against the bearish 4 hour. I'll trade that retracement. You have to know that it could be short-lived. You are trading a retracement. It's a riskier trade. So what do? Less contracts. So instead of 10, if that's your thing and you're putting on 10, closing 8 is your partial. Are you going to put on 10 on this? No. If I just have the 15-minute and the 1 hour switch, I'm not putting on 10. I'm going to put on half that or maybe less. So I'd feel comfortable putting on 5, but not 10, right? You also have to consider pulling profit sooner because it's a riskier trade, right? Because you're trading a retracement only at this point until the 4 hour comes around, if it does. So at that point, I'm typically closing at a 1-to-1 on partial. Okay. I'll move my stop to halfway. That's the plan on that if I'm trading a retracement. So if the 15-minute 1 hour goes against the 4 hour, yes, I'll trade it. I realize it's a retracement trade. I realize it's risky. So I'm going to go in with half the contracts I would normally go on, and I'm going to close partial at a 1-to-1 and then move my stop to halfway. That is my plan laid out for trading when the 15-minute and 1 hour turn change direction against the 4 hour. That's what I did. I put on 5, closed 4 when it hit 1-to-1, which it did quickly, move stop to better than halfway. I'm going to let it sit there. I'm either going to get stopped out or take a reverse signal. I'm not going to let it push against me. So if I get a reverse signal to go short, signal goes short, what do? Well, I'm going to close my long. I'm going to close my runner and trade short. I'm not just going to say, oh, it might not go. I'm just going to stay in it anyways and let it push down and pull me out. Because what happens is by the time it pushes down and pulls me out, it's too late for me to make a decision to get in, right? If I sat there through this and said, well, it might be a fake signal, it might be a false signal, I don't want to close out my long. I'm in profit. I close partial, right? That 4 hour is going to flip. You can say all kinds of stuff to yourself. And then it goes back up. And as it goes back up here, you're going, see, I knew. That's why I didn't close my partial on that signal. Didn't close my runner. I knew it was going to go back up. And then you get this. These candles right here. Pops down, stops you out. And at that point, you're saying just the opposite. I should have took this signal back here, right? So don't hold your losers and let your losers blur your sight of what's going on, all right? We actually had all 3 here, 15, 1 hour, and 4 back in sync. Again, bearish. You see it says bearish all day. That's because over here, the 4 hour was red. 4 hour never went green. Stayed red all day. So the 4 hour was red all morning. The start of 7 a.m. on, that was just a retracement trade. Riskier, less contracts, close at 1-to-1, move your stop halfway, leave your stop there, Because if it goes to 2 to 1, what are we going to do? We're going to move our stop to break even. Well, it never went 2 to 1. And here it came and signaled reverse. It's time to cut the other trade off, to close the long. Because now on this signal, the 15-minute and 1 hour are back in sync with the 4-hour time frame, which is what we want to trade with anyways, correct? Everything's back in sync. So I got in short, and you better believe it, when these line back up with the 4-hour, we're going to put on our full contracts. You're going to put on 10 if that's what you're doing. If 10's your full contract size, then you do 10. So I typically use that as an example. Put on 10, close 8. You put on 10. It goes up a little bit, pulls back. That's the nature of the game. You're going to sit through pullbacks. Sometimes as soon as you get in, you get a pullback. There's nothing you can do about it. There is no way to take that out of trading. There's no way to figure. There is nothing you could do, any indicator, any signal. I don't care what you're trading. There is no way to know when it is going to put you in and run and put you in and reverse on anything. You just have to take it. So signal short, put on 10. Where's your stop? Stop above this high. So the stop was back here. Gave it a little extra room above that high. It pulled back a little bit. Never went past these highs. And then it popped here. Where'd it go? 1 to 1. Hits the 1 to 1 level. What are we going to do? Our only job when it hits the 1 to 1 level is to move the stop to halfway. Minimize your risk. Okay? With your stop here, you're at 100% risk of whatever you put up. Move your stop to halfway. You're only risking half of what you originally put up to trade, right? When it hits 1 to 1. When it hits 2 to 1, close partial. We're closing out 8. In this scenario, 10 on, 8 off at partial. We're not only closing out. So when it hits this level, that's our 2 to 1, 2-time risk reward ratio, reward to risk ratio. We're going to close partial, and we're going to move our stop to just better and break even. Okay. Now it pulled back a little bit. Some people are going to want to move it here on this level. That's up to you. I go 2 levels back. So it hits this mark, this level. My stop is going to be 2 levels back. Okay. You're sitting through a little bit here, pull back, and then it goes to where? It goes to our 3-time level, right? Because remember, this is just 1 to 1, 2 to 1. There's 3. So now we're at 3-time reward level. If you have remaining contracts, multiple, you can close out partial. But what we're going to do ultimately, no matter what you do with closing the partial there, you might have 2 contracts on and want to let them both go the rest of the day. Because remember, we closed out 8. This level, we closed 8 and left 2 on. So when it hits this level, it's up to you to decide. Are you going to close one of those or not? That's your first decision. And make it here. Don't wait till it hits and make it. When you close partial here and move your stop to better and break even, make a decision now as it pulls back here. You make the decision when it hits that target, the next one, I will close 1. And we already know you're going to move the stop. Every time it hits a level, you move the stop. Or you make the decision to leave them both on, right? So it hits this profit level, you're moving your stop to this one. Comes down, hits this profit level, you're moving your stop to this. You're going 2 back. Profit level, stop. You're moving your stop. Hits this profit level, you're moving your stop. Right here, hits this profit level, you're moving your stop. Down in here, it hits this profit level. You're moving your stop. Now, if you're 2 times back, that's your stop. And as it pulls back, you get right here a 15-minute retracement right there. That's a signal to get out. Close your runners. Or this one. Here's a decision you guys have to make. It's afternoon. We're not taking any more trades. But you get the 15-minute going green against our bullish or bearish move, right? That is one exit strategy. You close it there. The second exit strategy, because it may not happen, is a 15-minute 1 hour turn. So you're closing like up here, or you're already stopped out because you put your stop there. Okay, you're already stopped out if you had your stop here. So that's where I got stopped out on the pullback. You're giving some back. See this right here? From this exit where you could have closed your runner to this one, you're giving some profit back. Guess what that is? One, it's the cost of doing business, but two, it's decision time. You have to decide how you're going to manage your runner. Do you close right when you get a 15-minute turn only? Or do you close when you get both? I will tell you this. There's some times that I'm trading, I'll get a 15-minute turn like this, and I'll decide to hold. I say, okay, I'm going to wait for the 15 and 1 hour to turn. Well, in this particular trade, I would have closed out here. Okay, if I wouldn't have had my stop there, I would have closed out because I got both switching. But there's times where you'll get the 15-minute turn green, and then it doesn't do this big push. It actually pushes back down, and you get everything lining up again. So you stay in. So one is not right more than the other. It's based on a comfort level. Are you comfortable giving back this little bit of extra profit on your runner? I was okay with that. My stop was here. Got stopped out anyways, about the same point. It was 2 levels back. Or no, wait. It was here, actually. Sorry. It was in the middles where I got stopped out. I forgot about this right here. So it hit that level. Stop was 2 levels back. I actually got stopped out right around in here. So I got stopped out kind of between the two, which was great. Look at how many, what number that is. 8 times your risk. That's what it hit. So again, I mentioned that earlier when I started, was we never know which ones are going to go and run. So you can't let yourself get discouraged. You have to trade according to your rules, and you just have to keep doing it. You have to keep doing it the same way consistently, day in, day out. Set the rules up for yourself and trade them, because this one wasn't the greatest. I mean, it was a good trade, and it was a retracement trade. And again, the 4 hour was red. What direction do you want to trade? If the 4 hours red, you only want to be bearish. If the 4 hours red, you're bearish. You want to sell, 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 sell all day. If I want to play around with trading retracements, for those that do, I'm only taking a retracement when both time frames, the 15-minute 1 hour turn. I'm only going to go for 1-to-1. I'm keeping a tight stop. Notice the stop was tight. It was not back here because there's a low back here. When I got in that trade, I went to the current low. Now, I won't do that on these. If it's bearish, if the 4 hours red, I will go to the lowest or highest point, like this one. The 4 hour was red, 15-minute, 1 hour turn red. I'm in with 10. I'm going to use the highest high right there, which is here, and go beyond that a little, give it room. That's a perfect setup, but I'm trading with the 4 hour time frame. It should be a good setup, right? This one that signaled, I'm trading against the 4 hour. So just the 15 and 1 hour flip, I know it could be short-lived. I know it may not go far. I know that means I want to tighten my stop up, for one, minimize my risk, and I'm going to go for 1-to-1. It's an extra trade. That's all it is. The retracement trades are little puny little extra trades. Okay? So again, tighter stop, because I could have went back here. I'm not willing to do that. If I would have had, well, let's just do it. If I move this down here under that stop, say here, it doesn't even hit my 1-to-1, does it? Because it's a riskier trade. Okay. So awesome setup on this, awesome trade, awesome exit. Basically, still moving down off news is the move we had. We had a good day, a good push today. This is ES. I don't think a lot of you are trading ES. I don't know. Here's start of day 7. Right at the start of the day, it was bearish. So the 4-hour was red. So 4-hour was red. Or are you going to trade the retracements? It's up to you. If the 4 hours red, you should be thinking sell, sell, sell. If that's all you're going to do, okay? If all you're going to do is what indicator? I don't know. You're asking what indicator I've opened up? You have to let me know what you're talking about. I don't have any indicators opened up on here. Oh, probably. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff opened up there. It is. I was looking at it for something I needed in some coding that I can't figure out. So again, it was already red. So we're only looking to short. That should be our main trade. Our strongest trades are going to be to trade with the trend, the 4-hour time frame, and it's red. So every sell opportunity we get should be a good, decent, strong trade. That's what you have to go into this with. So we're going to sell all day long. You can trade retracements. That's up to you. Are you a retracement trader or not? I am. I will trade retracements. So for me, I want to see both this right here. I want to see the 15-minute and the 1-hour flip. Because if just the 15-minute flips, I'm not in. It could be a small retracement. But I've seen if the 15-minute 1-hour over the last few months, really honing in on this and watching it on multiple instruments, when the 15-minute 1-hour flip, that's a stronger pullback, stronger retracement. So I will trade those retracements. Again, what do? We're trading long. We're going to buy against the 4-hour that's red. What do we say to ourselves? Riskier trade, less contracts, tighter stop, close at 1-to-1, close partial at 1-to-1. That's the rules. Can somebody write that down for me so I can remember to put something together for you guys, if you don't mind? So retracement trade, 15-minute, 1 minute, turns against the 4-hour. Your thought process should be just that. If you're going to trade the retracements, it's a riskier trade. We need less contracts. We need a tighter stop, and you close partial at 1-to-1. That should be the thought process. That should be your written rules that you're going to do. So here's the signal. I got in long with what? 5. Again, we're using the 10-to-2. Or 10 and close partial would be 2. So we're going to put on 5 and close 1. We're going to use a tighter stop loss, because if this was all 3 time frames green, my stop loss would be here. Okay, for a stronger move. It just is. It's 2 levels back. But on a riskier trade, just the 15 and 1 hour turning green against the 4-hour being red and bearish, less contracts. So we're putting on 5 with the plan of closing 4 when it hits 1-to-1. Because remember, we were 10-to-2, 10 and close 8, keep 2 on. So at 5, we should close 4 and leave 1 on. It's half. Everything's half. Okay? So we put on 5. Stop loss under the low. When it hits 1-to-1, we close. It's 1-to-1. Now remember, if it's everything in the same direction, when it hits 1-to-1, we just move our stop halfway, right? But when it's this, you close out partial at 1-to-1, and then you can move your stop halfway. And then if it gets to the second level, which it almost got to here, and I can almost guarantee that while this candle's forming and this candle pushed up and almost touched that second level, I can almost guarantee that everybody's going to move their stop. It's just price reaction. You don't want to see a loss. I don't either. So when it pushes up there and it's pushing during that candle, a lot of people probably move their stop to break even, and that's fine. Why? Because it's a riskier trade. We're trading against the 4-hour. You have to be more aggressive on this one because it's against the trend, the 4-hour trend. Over here, then, what do we get? We get a sell signal. So we get a sell signal. If you look down, the 15-minute and 4-hour are in line. The 1-hour hasn't flipped back yet. But to me, that's still a stronger, it's a decent signal. Because what are we looking to do? Remember, bearish all day. It was bearish all morning. It was bearish before 7, stayed bearish. We're only looking to sell. Our safest trade should be to go short. Well, there's a signal. Now, if you don't feel comfortable putting on your 10, then put on 5, like you did over here if you want. You could do that. You can adjust till all of them line up over here. Okay, that's up to you. I went in with the full contracts. So again, I'm using 10 to an example. Putting on 10, stop above the high up here. Okay. Well, let's look at what it did. It moved down. You're in profit. Great. Oh, that's wonderful. Then it moves back. You're in the negative. And then you're wondering, is it going to go deeper? Did I make a wrong decision? Should I not have got in? Blah, 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 all that stuff. Look at what it did when it signaled. Remember what I say? Look to the left. So it signaled here short, look to the left. Was there a move up? Yes, there was. There was a pretty big move up. Okay. You're getting in off the break of that. That's why we got the signal. So feel confident in sitting in that. Negative, positive, negative, positive, back and forth. Right here, what's this? 9:30, U.S. stock market open. What instrument are we looking at? ES. We're looking at S&P, and then Nasdaq's next. When do they move? Start of the U.S. market. You're going to get stuff like this. Not always, but sometimes. But we're already in. So we actually got in before the start of the market. U.S. stock market open. It wicked up. You're in the negative even more just for a few seconds, right? Pulls back, and then it even pulls back here. You're back in the negative. But what did you do? If you pulled here and hit 1-to-1 and move your stop to halfway, you got taken out. If you didn't move your stop halfway, then you're still in. So it just depends. And that's okay. I don't know what you're going to do. You have to make the rules up for yourself. I will leave my stop where it is on a strong signal with a 4-hour. But over here, retracement trade, no. Over here on a retracement trade, if it hits 1-to-1, I'm closing partial, move my stop to halfway, at least. And then when it goes up to the second level, move and stop to break even. It's got to be that aggressive. On these, trading with the 4-hour, you can choose to leave your stop where it is when it hits 1-to-1. If it hits 2-to-1, you're closing out partial. Now, if it hit 1-to-1 and you moved your stop to break even or halfway, you were taken out by the stock market open. Don't be surprised. It's the stock market open. I mean, it's 9:30. It's when the U.S. stock market opens. We expect some fast, quick moves sometimes. Not always, but a lot of times, yes. Nasdaq even gets nastier at times, right? So if we expect it, we expect it. Okay. If we look at highs and lows, I mean, what would you think? You get in there, you're sitting here, you're down here, and you're going, well, hey, the stock market opens in 3 minutes. Okay. So the stock market opens in 3 minutes. What could happen? Well, it could just shoot and run down. That'd be great for me, right? Or it could shoot back up and do what? Test the highs. So do you want to move your stop to the halfway? If you know that it could go back up and test the highs, do you want to move your stop halfway? I'd leave it up there. So we know when the U.S. stock market's opening, right? 9:30 every morning. We know when the Forex market opens, 8 o'clock a.m. Eastern. We know when news comes out for the Forex market, 8:30 a.m. Eastern. We typically always have news, not every day, but most days we have news, Forex news that comes out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. So knowing these things should help you adapt your trading, right? If you got stopped out, that's okay. Some people would have. Again, if you're 1-to-1 and you're moving your stop halfway, you got stopped out on this U.S. stock market candle, that wick. If you left it out there, you're still in, right? Haven't done anything, not closed partial at all, because it has to hit the second level. So if you got stopped out, that was actually okay. You didn't make anything though, but you had less of a loss, right? I'm trying to show you the good and the bad and the ugly. So some traders would get in that, moves to 1-to-1. They move their stop halfway. You get stopped out. You lost a losing trade, but that was less of a loss than if it went back and stopped you out here, right? And you should be okay with that, right? You preserve some capital. Now, what you're not going to be okay with is you're going to be okay with that if it keeps going up. What you're not really okay with is this right here, because you got stopped out because you moved your stop halfway and then it just tanked after, right? And you missed all that when you were already in it. You were in it over here and you have to get back in it. You have to look for another signal to get back in, right? Which we had, which is great, but it doesn't always come like that. So you have to decide what you're going to do with this right here. It gets to 1-to-1. Do you move your stop halfway? Do you leave your stop where it is? I'll give you what I like to do. And I did earlier. If it is a signal aligned with the 4-hour, which remember the 4-hour was red, it was bearish. This is a signal aligned with the 4-hour. You get in here. You know the U.S. stock market's open. You know that price typically will test a high level, previous high or low. There's your swing high, right? Keep your stop there. I mean, just keep it there. If you're trading over here and you're trading like the 15-minute 1-hour here, we're going to go buy against the bearish 4-hour. It's a riskier trade, right? If it gets to 1-to-1, I'm closing partial, moving my stop halfway. That's it. That's the hard, fast rule on that one. And I'm sticking to that. Because if it keeps running and the 4-hour flips, you're in early. But we never know when that's going to happen, right? Okay, so if you got stopped out, that was okay because we had another signal here. Which one's this? 15-minute, 1-hour, 4-hour, all lined up. So remember, here was the 15-minute flipping back in line with the 4-hour. Finally, the 1-hour flips here. That's also right at 10 o'clock news this morning. So I think that news, it helped this move. If you notice, we really didn't get a big move right here on this candle off of the U.S. news on, S&P here. But we had a good move after it, right? So we always want to let our winners run. This would have been your entry to get in. This is when you're doing 10. Stop. I put my stop clear up here because I was already in from over here. I was in here, stop up here. It pulled here, signal again. I went ahead and jumped in again. I hadn't even closed anything out. I had 20 on this thing. Okay, so I had 20 contracts. I decided to keep my stop way up here. I just left it there. I added 10 more. I'm like, okay, because everything's in line. Strong signal. That is your strongest signal right there when everything lines back up. So I threw 10 more on. It was at where is this at? Where I threw 10 more on. This trade's at a 1-to-1. It's in profit. So can you see that right there? I put on trade here. At this signal here, the first trade is at a 1-to-1 profit level. And I don't care where you put your stop. If you use the current, I just go back past this high up here. I like to give it room to breathe. So first trade's at 1-to-1, 10 on. Second trade, 10 on. It pulls back right away. Got in, went up a little, pulls back. You're going to have to sit through it. That's all there is to it. It comes down to push. I don't have anything on my chart, but I could see something else you could draw. If you're using trend lines, right? Can you draw a trend line across those highs and extend it out? Yeah. So you can continue using them. I'm not ever saying don't. I still use them. That was the entry, sit through pullback. It comes to 1-to-1. That's the second trade though. Remember? The first trade we got in here, it hits 1-to-1. We don't do anything. Pulls back. We move it, I didn't move my stop. So it pulls back, comes here. This one's at 1-to-1. Currently, that's an entry. Put on a second trade, another 10. So now we have 20 on. It moves down. It hits this level. What is that level? Well, on my first trade, that's the second level, 2 times. What am I doing? I'm closing 8. I'm closing 8 and leaving 2 runners on. I'm closing 8 and moving my stop. That was the rule I set for myself. Where am I moving my stop to? Break even. It's pulling this stop too, because now the 2 trades are together, right? So it moves here, 2 times the risk level, and I'm closing 8 off the first trade, leaving 2 runners, moving my stop to break even. So at that point, I'm dragging the stop on these trades that are together down to here, break even. So what has that done? On the first trade, on my 2 runners, if I get stopped out here, I don't lose anything against those 2 runners, right? So this trade right here is successful right now overall, right here at this level. Closed out 8, 2 runners, moved your stop to break even. Can't lose anything against the 2 runners. What else has it done for me? Well, it's hit that level, and we just moved our stop to break even, this point, right? So now that just took this stop and, well, I can't do that. It's moved my targets. That just took this stop and pulled it here, halfway. So even if it turns and goes and stops us out, we're going to lose nothing on the runners, and we're going to lose half on this trade, half our risk. Okay? That's great. We just minimized our risk on this trade. And we set this trade where we're not going to lose anything on our runners. It continues to move and hits this level. Well, what level is that? If you notice these 2 levels, these 2 trades sync up in levels. This right here is our first level. That's our 1-to-1. What do we do in a 1-to-1 scenario? We pull part, or no, we don't pull partial. We move our stop to halfway. Our stop's already halfway. Okay, so we don't really have to do anything with that unless you want to move your stop to break even. Personal decision. But look over here to the left. That's our second profit level, or third. 1-to-1, 2-to-1, 3 times risk level. We have 2 contracts on. Close 1. So now you've closed out 8 at 2-to-1. You've closed out 1 at 3. And you leave the other runner on and just move the stop. The rules are, bear with me, the rules on this trade, every trade, remember, hits here, close or move your stop halfway. Okay, hits here, close partial, and move your stop to break even, which it just hit over here. It hits here, close one of them. So now we just close one and we leave one on. But where are we moving our stop? On this trade right here. Well, we're moving our stop 2 levels back. 1, 2. So we drag this stop, which is here, break even. We drag it here. Well, what does that do? Well, our trades are all together. It's not like it's 2 separate trades. We just pulled our stop to break even on the whole thing. On the runner, we're 2 levels back. It's in profit. So on this trade, on the one runner we have running, we're 2 levels back on a stop. We're getting a 1-to-1. Even if it comes back and stops us out, we're getting a 1-to-1 on that one little runner. Okay. But ultimately, the stop on this trade, which we haven't closed anything out yet because it's just hit here, is at break even. Right? We can't lose anything at this point. And that's when it's right here. Moves down. I can't tell you what you do here. It did not hit this target level. Right? It moves down. Didn't hit the target level. But now look at the left. It hit this level. I don't know why this one's not out there, guys. That should be the next level. Let me fix that. Where's that? There it is. That should be 6. There it is. All right. So where are we? Oh, so it came down here. It's moving toward this level. Not quite there yet, but what did it do? Well, on this trade, where we have one runner, it hit the next level. What are we supposed to do when it hits this next level? We're supposed to move our stop, right? That's the rule we set up. Hits the level, move our stop 2 levels back. 1, 2. So we're going to take our stop from here and move it here. So now on this one runner with the stop here, we're getting 2 times the risk. That's been an awesome trade, right? Awesome. Well, what did it do to this trade? So we get here, right? And then we moved our stop to back. Well, we moved our stop. It moved to here. Well, now we're in profit. We're in profit on this trade, and we haven't really closed anything. We haven't even hit our target to close partial, right? We hit this target, and that target says move your stop halfway, but we didn't have to. We were already moved halfway because of here. We're managing our first trade. This one is just in sync. Okay. So now if it pulls back, we're going to make better and break even. It does pull back a little bit, does not take that out. There's where our stop is. And then it moves down. At that point, it hits what? I think you guys can see it. Just look at both of them. So it comes here. It finally hits our what? 1, 2. Finally hits 2-time risk level. Risk reward ratio, right? So we're finally at that level to close partial. So we are going to close 8 of this 10. You're going to close out 8 there. You're also going to move your stop where? The rule is close partial, move stop to break even. Well, we closed partial. We don't have to move our stop to break even because our stop is here based off the first trade. It's already been done for us. Now, let's look to the left and see where that puny little runner is, right? Because we just closed partial. We look to the left. Oh, it's hit another level. Well, what do? We move our stop 2 levels back. Our stop is here. We drag it here. That's what we're going to do. We're going to have to manage this whole trade, this runner, off of stop levels now. Just keep moving our stop. So what does that do over here? Well, we closed partial. It's brought our stop kind of aggressive, right? But that's what we're doing. We're managing them together. It's the best thing you can do. So it hit here. If you put on 10, remember, we closed out 8. We have 2 on. Pulls back some, doesn't stop you out. Pulls down to the next profit level. This over here now is just a runner. It's just one runner on for the gold. Okay, because now we're switching over to manage this big thing. We ran out of profit levels. I mean, you could add more in, guys. And if you notice, it's about half. This little trade right here off of this one entry with where we put our stop appropriately puts lines, and amazingly enough, at the halfway points between taking this entry signal and putting the stop at the same level. It's just the way it worked out. It's the halfway point. So if you want to, you can still do that. As it moves and hits here, you can say, okay, that's the halfway point. I'm going to move my stop 2 levels back, 1, 2. You can always go in and add levels. That's up to you. What I choose to do is just forget about this over here. Now I'm focused on the whole thing here. This is just a rider. It's just a runner. So it comes down here and hits this take profit level. We're going to go 2 levels back. We're already 2 levels back. Okay. And then noon, we don't do anything. And then eventually get stopped out of the trade. Oh no, we had a signal here. Sorry. We had the 15-minute retracement signal. That's where I closed runner. Gave back enough. You're going to get back some always, because you don't know when the bottom is. And that's something a lot of people try and pick the tops and bottoms. You can't. So overall, this was a different trade. That was not during the session. That's the day on ES. Great trade. 3 great trades on this one. Okay. I mean, this was good. That was a perfectly good retracement trade that worked out well. Got in, stopped tight, looking for 1-to-1, 1-to-1, close out partial, only put 5 on instead of 10. It's a riskier trade. It's against the 4-hour. 5 on. So we close out 4 here and move the stop to halfway. And then when it goes up into here, I didn't do it. So when it went up here, it just didn't hit that level. I did not move my stop up. And then when it come over here and signaled short, I closed my long and jumped in short. So I was still profitable on the one runner, right? Because I got in at this price. So still profitable on the one runner. And at the one runner where it closed, it was about, if you notice, it was about the 1-to-1 risk reward ratio where I closed the rest off. It was a little bit less. So I didn't make as much on the one runner as I did the others. But that's why we leave them on. So that's how ES worked out overall. And that's how you manage the whole thing. All right, now let's look at NQ. We probably will be at the 3-hour mark by the time we're done, because I'm going to go over NQ and then I'm going to go over gold, because I'm trying to, I know, again, we're making a decision whether you guys want to continue with gold the rest of the week, switch something next week, or if you'd rather switch something tonight, I'm fine. I can roll with either one and trade something else tomorrow. So on, we're at oil. Was that Nasdaq? That was ES. Here's oil. So oil, start a day, 7 a.m. Eastern. It was in the 4-hour was green, right? So 4-hour green, and you're only going to want to look to go long. Well, first signal we get is a 15-minute retracement. I don't normally do those. I like to have 2 of them. Here's the 15-minute 1-hour. That's your next signal. I didn't trade it because I was too busy trading everything else. I have 6 things open. This is the last. This is the last one I consider trading today. For me, it was gold, Bitcoin, and platinum. Those are the first 3 things I want to get in. And then it's Nasdaq and ES. And then if I have time or it's not crazy on the rest, then I'll look at oil. So I didn't get in on any of this. Then here you have a 15-minute retracement. Sorry, I wonder why that signal retracement. I'll have to change that. That should be a 15-minute signal to realign, basically, because the 4 hours red or green. Sorry, green. So it had been green. So that should have been, that is a green signal. It's just not got the right phrasing on it. I'll have to fix that. That's why we're in test mode right now. So it pulled back, but over here, right here on this candle, we got what? We have a 15-minute, a 1 hour, and a 4 hour turning red. It's the top of the hour. It's 10 o'clock. That's when the 4 hour opens, the new 4 hour candle. What is 10 o'clock today? 10 o'clock was also news. So we have the pressure of the news push that hasn't even happened yet. I mean, if you guys look at this, what would tell you that that's bearish or switching to bearish? There's nothing in here that tells you that it's going to switch to bearish. Because if you're looking at this move, you say, well, that's a big move down. Wouldn't that change it all bearish in here? Well, look at this. The 15-minute flip back over to realign with the other charts, the 4 hour and 1 hour. So you had a just as big of a swing back, right? Well, what time is this? Anybody know what time this is? Right in there. The bottom of the move right there. That's 9:30. Well, what opens up at 9:30? U.S. stock market. There was also news on oil today. That's why you have to know when the news releases come out. Okay, so it signaled here that all three are turning red. So that's a trend reversal signal. We were green over here on the 4 hour. 4 hour switch to red. We're only going to go what? We're only going to sell. Every time we're going to sell, when we get a sell signal, those are our strongest signals because we're trading with the 4 hour. The 4 hours flipped. So that was a sell. What happened right away? I've seen a lot of people go, and I've seen comment, not just, no, I'm not talking in our group, guys. I'm talking about in general. And when you look at stuff and comments and people trading around the world, over time, you get to see a lot of stuff. Well, I went in the negative right away after that signal. Did you? You actually went in the positive right away. I mean, that went positive. You sold. It actually went positive right away. Then it went negative. Wasn't ready to move yet. Right? So put the trade on here. We're going in with 10. Take care of your trade first. When you get a signal, that is not the time to sit and monkey around with your position tool or this one or whatever you're using. That's not the time. You get a signal, you put your trade on, put your stop where you know it should be, right? Put your trade on. Your stop should not be here above this little wick right here, right? It just shouldn't. Why? Well, how many times do things get tested? Put it back above the previous high. Go to that swing high. This is your swing high right here. Swing up, swing down signal. I mean, that's your swing high. So don't mess around with, oh, I'm going to keep it so tight. I'm going to put my trade there and I'm going to put it right at that wick. Or right one tick. I see people come in here measure. And they're measuring with the crosshair. Okay, what price is that at? Okay, I'm looking over there, and it's 69.19. I just want that. There it is, 6920. I want to put my stop right there at 6920, one tick above. Don't do that. Put it where it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be above the swing high, right? And if you look, if you would have put it right there, one tick above, what happened here? Well, you were taken out. And you were taken out just before what? Just before it moved down. Before what else? Just before it moved down further, right? So don't put it right at that level. Go to where it's supposed to be. Measure that tool and mark your levels. And I'm going to, let me shut that yellow line off or yellow zone off so it's not in the way. Because it was kind of hard to see this in here with the wicks. So entry, Then you put your stop on, and then you put your tool on, because it's going to be moving around while you're putting your tool on. Put your tool on. We have our profit targets. It comes down here quickly. Well, pull back a little bit, but comes down here. A few candles. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 15 minutes. So 15 minutes it took to get to 1-to-1. Not bad, right? You're not sitting in it for an hour. 15 minutes gets to 1-1. What do we do at 1-to-1? 1-to-1, we don't close any because we're not retracement trading, right? We're trading with the trend. Everything's in line with the 4-hour included. Stronger sell signal. We're trading with the 4-hour trend. The 4-hour trend just flipped. This is one of the strongest you'll see when it flips from green to red, right? So we put on 10. Gets to 1-to-1. Our only job when it gets to 1-to-1 is to move your stop halfway. If you're doing it. Not everybody will do it. Some people will leave their stop where it is when it gets 1-to-1. It is up to you. It's 100% your decision alone. It depends on your risk tolerance. You get in this trade, your stop is here, you're risking X amount. Let's say it's $200. You could lose $200. And I'm just throwing numbers out, but you can lose $200. If it gets to 1-to-1, you're thinking, well, it's pushed. I don't really care what it does. I'm thinking if it keeps pushing short, but what if it pulls back? So you move your stop to halfway, or at least above here or something, but halfway. You're minimizing your risk. You're also putting yourself in a position where you could get stopped out when it pulls back something like this, and it didn't. So, but it's a decision you have to make. I can only give you options on stuff like this because every single person out there is going to trade a little differently based on your comfort level, right? So it hits 1-to-1, move your stop halfway if that's what you're doing. If not, you're leaving your stop there. Then it pulls back a little. Then it comes down and hits 2-to-1. What do we do at 2-to-1? Our only job when it hits 2-to-1 is to close partial and then to move our stop. So when it comes down here, we put 10 on, we close out 8. We're leaving 2 runners on. We're moving our stop to where? Break even. Then you would have got stopped out when it pulled here. That's just the way it is, right? Profit target, 2-to-1, close out 8, move your stop to break even. You get stopped out here. The only way you would have still been in this for this write down is if you left your stop. That's it. So your runners would have been no loss against your gains. And you should be okay with that. You're going to look and go, but it just kept moving down. I wish I would. You'll start saying stuff like that. But wait, it just kept moving down. I wish I would have left my stop at halfway, or if it went deeper, you'd been saying stop yet. You've been saying, I wish I would have left my stop back here, and then it would go deeper, and you say, well, I wish I would have put my stop above here. Now you're backing your stop up, right? Don't do it, because by the time you say, well, I wish I would have here, and it keeps moving up, and then you say, well, I wish I would have put my stop up here, and it keeps moving up. Well, you just missed a long move up. And more than likely, it's a trend change, right? So you can't waver on your rules. You just have to stick to them, right? And that's okay, because later, and I didn't have my noon. Sorry, I don't have my noon. Right there. There's my noon line. That's noon, and we're not taking trades, right? So, and that's okay. You got stopped out, but profitable trade. You got a decent profit on this, decent size. Those are pretty big span. And it's a 2-to-1. So on your runners, 8 of them, you got 2-to-1. And on your closed partial, you got 2-to-1. And on your runners, you stopped out break even. Okay. And then over here, we actually get, we had a 15-minute retracement. We're not trading that. Remember, we flipped here, trend reversal. It flipped from green, 4-hour green, which is bullish, to red right here, which is bearish. We're only thinking shorts. We're only going to short. If we get a 15-minute, we're just going to be aware that it could pull back. If we get a 15-minute and a 1 hour, we might want to, trade that retracement, unless you're in a trade and you're holding. So it says retracement. What happened? It pulled down a little bit and it retraced. We got a retracement. Okay. Then it pulled down, and right here, we actually had the 15-minute, 1 hour, and 4 hour back in line. There they are. Strong signal. What are we doing? 10 on. Okay. So 10 on with the stop. I went with the tight stop on this. One reason, well, a couple reasons. One reason is I already had good profit here. Second reason I haven't traded this on oil. I haven't even tested this on oil. So I haven't traded this and tested on oil to know enough. Is it signaling okay for us on oil? Or do I need to make some adjustments? Because I've made some adjustments on from gold to Bitcoin, because the instruments don't move the same. So I've ended up going in and tweaking and finding the best settings for the few things I'm trading it on now. And that's only going to get better. And that's why I appreciate you guys helping me test this, because as we do, it helps me to gather more information on what's going on when we trade. So since I hadn't traded on oil, already had a good trade on oil, I went with the tight stop, even though it was a strong signal. You see where I went. I just went right back there. Okay. The other reason, the second reason, not just because I already profited good, I haven't really tested on this. All that being said, look at what time it is. That signal came at 11:30. It's late in the day. We're not going to take trades after noon, but I'd like to stop somewhere between 11 and noon. And it's like I already trade. This is the sixth instrument that I was trading. So at this point in time, I had 6 trades on. So there's that as well. I'm watching 6 items. It's close to noon. Haven't really traded great on oil. Oil's the last thing I took. Great, I got in over here, and I just went with the tight stop. I almost got stopped out. Would I have kicked myself? No. I mean, it could have came up here and stopped me out. I'm not going to kick myself for that. I decided to put the stop where I decided to put the stop because of those reasons. If it would have came and stopped me out, I would have been okay taking this loss, because this loss is nothing compared to this. So I put 10 on here. If I would have lost that amount, 10 contracts, I locked in 8 contracts from here to here. See how that covers that? More than covers that. So 10 contracts here, 8 were closed out here, 2 were closed out break even. But the 8 contracts, the span on that is over 2 times this span. If I move this box over here, it's smaller than one of these. So the 8 contracts just on this one span covered the 10 here. So this one span here on 8 contracts is my profit if I would have got stopped out. That's how it panned out. That's what would have happened if I would have got stopped out. I would have only had profit on 8 contracts from this level to this level. That's it. Because this level from here to here on those 8 contracts would have been wiped out here. I would have lost this, which would have taken out part of my gains. But that right there, those 2 trades are still profitable overall. It's a profitable day on oil just with those trades. It did not stop me out, though. Again, according to rules, it goes to the 1-to-1 level. 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio. So it hit 1-to-1. What do we do? Well, our only job to do when it hits that is move or stop. We move our stop to halfway. Okay. There's no news. It's late in the day. We don't have to worry about a news move. The markets, there's no market opening up. None of that. We can get quick wicks on. None of that. So we're going to move it halfway. Okay. When it hits 1 to 1, hits 2 to 1 right here. There's a red candle behind that line. I'll take it off. Hits 2 to 1. What do we do at 2 to 1? At 2 to 1, we close partial. So you close 8 and move your stop to break even. So you've closed 8. There's your profit span. Move your stop to break even. We can't lose a dime against what we have locked in. Can't lose anything. Another profitable trade. Now we're at 0 risk. Goes down, goes back, deeper, does not hit that level. Sideways. I mean, look at these swings. Boop, boop. Keeps hitting this price level for some reason. Right? Keeps hitting it. Keeps going back to it. We're going to move to the left. And I did not mark end of day. And we actually had a signal in here, and I think I accidentally deleted the line. And end of day is, it's on over. Sorry, guys. Yeah, end of day's in here. So right around there. We actually had a signal in here, but I accidentally deleted the line, I guess, when I was doing charts. But don't be afraid to put use your horizontal tools like we've been using. I still do. I normally will delete them then if it moves on, if it pushes, so my charts aren't junked up. But it actually, there was a signal in here, 15-minute, which is where I got out earlier. I had to take Tyler's car to the dealer too. And we left like at 2 o'clock or something like that because he's leaking oil. I wonder why, as fast as he drives. So that's how oil panned out. All right. So I hope you guys like this. I'll post a link into the Discord in that premium section. So it's right there for you. Tonight, I'll mark up the charts, the 4 hours. I'll get those marked, get them uploaded sometime tonight. I'll probably do them earlier than later because I'm really deadbeat today. I am not staying up late no matter what gold or Bitcoin or platinum throws at me. I say that until I see it later. I'll peek in, who knows. So I might be in the trade. I might be in the Discord trading. Depends on what things look like. 2 things. I'll upload pictures, and then I'm going to record a quick video. Promise. This one's we're only at 2.5 hours. This is short. I will do a quick video later tonight on how to set up that tool that I showed on here. I like doing this. I forgot I even had this set up. I think a lot of you guys, because I don't use these all the time, because I just know my prices levels, how with the naked eye, you can see where the stop is compared to the entry, and you can clearly see that it's moved, about 1 times the stop level or 2 times. So I don't always use it, but I really like using this one. I set it up, I don't know, guys, 3 or 4 months ago, I think. And I think you guys will like using this. It already has the lines on the charts, so you set it up 1 time and that's it. You're going to have to do a lot of things to it because the way it comes, it's got a lot of things you'll have to change, but it's really quick and easy. I'll do a quick video on that. What I'm going to have to do is reset it. And then once I reset it, I'll do a video on it. It should only be like 10 minutes long. I'm not going to do any other flu for anything. I'll just have it set up the way it comes by default. And then I'll just go in and quickly set it up. All right. So I'll do that tonight so you guys can set yours up, and then you'll be able to use it tomorrow. So I'm going to go back in and look at the poll and see what everyone said that's in the premium Discord, if you guys are wanting to trade something else. So I wanted to show all 6 of these tonight. I wanted to show every instrument because we're not liking where gold is and has been. Last week it was choppy. Last 2 days, last 3 days. It's been choppy again today. So it hasn't worked out the best. We've still got some good trades, some losing trades. I think some people have losing trades overall. There's some that have winning trades. There's some that have about a 50-50. I don't know if they've taken all the signals or if they've taken like one trade, like on gold. Gold gave 2 trades long that didn't really work out, and then a huge trade short. So if someone traded gold and they took the first one, it was a loss. That was a loss for me. Took the second one, it was a loss. They might not even traded the third. They might just, I'm done. I'm done with gold today because it was choppy last week. It was choppy Monday, Tuesday. I'm not doing it again. And so they take the first loss. Okay, I'll trade it again. Looks like a repeat of last week. Take the second loss, and then you're like, I'm out. That's it. I'm done. I'm out. So when you look at people's stats and they tell you it's a win-loss, I don't really know. I can't tell you if they took like all signals before noon, because that's what we do. That's what we set this up to do, and said, yes, we'll take all signals before noon, all trade signals. And I don't know if everybody's doing that religiously and sticking to that, or like I said, if they take the 2 losses, at 150 each and they're 300 loss and they're just saying, okay, I'm done for the day. We'll try again tomorrow. So I don't know what to tell you on that. Anyways, I enjoyed this one. I hope you guys did. I hope this helps. I wanted you guys to see like how it played out differently on the different things. Bitcoin was the clear winner today. ES, Bitcoin and Nasdaq were the 2 biggest for me. So I will tell you that I would traded 6 things today. Bitcoin and Nasdaq were the 2 biggest winning trades for me. And that's because they trended, especially Bitcoin. So my runners got up there where they were several $100s for one runner. Okay. And that's huge. So those were the 2 big winners. The next one was platinum. And it was it was a winning trades on them, not as big as what I made on Bitcoin and Nasdaq. ES came in under platinum, and then it was gold, and then oil. Oil was last, but that's because I didn't get an oil till later. It was like 10 o'clock when I started with oil. So anyways, hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the Discord. I'll see you later on tonight. And I hope everybody has a good evening. I'm going to get away from the computer for a few hours, and I'll talk to you later.